and to take us through some of his favourite sporting moments, but also to talk about the world of poker playing, is Ankush Khandelwal, who's on the line now. Hello, Ankush. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm really good, thanks, Alan. How are you?
I'm very good, although, you see, I wouldn't know whether to trust you or not because you've got a poker face. So, you could be telling all manner of lies to me, and I would never know. How did you develop a poker face? How come you've got into this strange world?
Well, I've always had a huge love for competitive gaming, and poker is just this ultimate strategy game for me, and I got fascinated by it just throughout playing different games.
And are you one who maintains a blank expression throughout the game, or do you deliberately try and set your opponent's pulses racing by giving the wrong information? What's your technique? If you're able to tell me, I don't want to.
Well, actually, most of the poker that I play is playing high-stakes cash games online, so I'm playing behind my computer screen.
So nobody knows?
Yeah, I guess not. No.
Okay. So you play online at your computer, and, well, you can't win money doing that, surely?
I know you can. So the world of poker has exploded over the last 15 years or so, and it's possible to play very high-stakes poker games online.
Well, when you say high stakes, how much is at stake for you at times then?
I mean, on any given day, you can win multiple thousands of pounds.
Equally, though, you could be losing multiple thousands of pounds. Is that right?
Of course, yeah. The risk is always there. You have to take calculated risks and hope for the best.
And how does it feel when you have a day and you come to the end of the day and you think, wow, I didn't do well, I just didn't work out. How do you deal with that sort of feeling of low?
Yeah, that happens many times. I'd say maybe 55% of my days are winning and 45% of my days are losing. So I have to deal with that feeling very frequently. And what I like to do is just sort of analyze the hands I played and try and see if I made any mistakes and how I can play better in the future. So it's constant self-improvement. That's the attitude I like to have.
Of course, and that's an interesting statistic, the 45-55. As long as it's over 50% for the winning, as opposed to the losing, you're ultimately going to be, increasing your wealth.
As long as you don't lose more on your bad days than you would win on your good days.
Yeah.
People have that problem, so a lot of it is about fortitude as well.
Yeah. I don't think I really know the rules of poker, and I don't know that it's necessary that we go into it now. Those who know the game will know how it's played. But isn't there a significant amount of random chance in it? Aren't you effectively playing against an opponent as well as a deck of cards?
Yes, absolutely. In the short run, there's a huge amount of luck, or variance, as we like to call it, which is the statistical term. But over the long run, there's ways you can really develop an edge. If you study the game quite deeply, there are different strategies you can employ to give yourself that extra 2% edge, and those can really add up to a huge amount over time.
You've become the Sports Olympiad champion, is this right?
Yeah, so every year I play a tournament called the Mind Sports Olympiad, which is kind of like the Board Games World Championship, and I've won it again this year.
So this is not playing poker, this is playing other games?
This is playing a huge variety of different strategy games. So this year at the Mind Sports Olympiad, there were 50 different unique games, spanning from chess, Scrabble, Settlers of Catan, Carcassonne, just a variety of board games. And we're playing against the best board game players in the world and trying to see who comes out on top.
When you were younger, did you have a family around you who encouraged you to play board games? Where did all of this spring forth?
To be honest, I don't really know. I learned playing chess at school. My family have never played games. I also learned how to play bridge at school, and then slowly I just developed an interest in other games as well. And I've just always had a huge passion for it.
And when did you think this is a career, if you like?
So I did go to university. I did a master's degree in mathematics, and then I worked as a derivatives trader for a while as well. But then I was playing a lot of poker on the side because I just had this huge passion for it, and it was just so much time spent trading during the day, and then maybe 4 hours of poker on the side. It was too much, and I just decided I'm going to try poker full time.
It was more exciting than the world of derivatives trading.
But
But still a sort of gamble, and still pitting your wits and your steely nerves against others, I guess. The world of derivatives and the world of poker are similar, would you say?
Yeah, they're very similar. Ultimately, they're both like gambling games, and you have to figure out the best way you can win using mathematics and logic, I guess. But what I really like about poker is it's more about cards and probability distribution, which is a skill I'm good at, whereas trading is more about finance, which I never really had a passion for.
But you do have to use your own money, I assume, in the world of poker. Or do you have sponsors?
No, I use my own money.
Well, we're going to talk about some sporting moments that you've really enjoyed in your time. And I notice that two of them are nothing to do with the subject we've been talking about. Two of them are absolute normal sport. Sorry, I used the word normal there. That was wrong of me. But one's a cricket and one's a football memory. So we will talk about that. But then there is also a fascinating story that takes us back into the world of the sort of mind Olympiad. We're going to talk about cricket now. Hello again, Ankush Khandelwal, who's also known as Game King 51, familiar with the world of online poker play. Would you actually take on a face-to-face poker game if somebody challenged you?
If the stakes were appropriate, yeah, I'm always down for it.
That's an answer, isn't it? The stakes were appropriate. There's got to be something in it for me to want to play. Cricket, then, and you've chosen as one of your three sporting highlights a cricketing moment. Take us back to 2019. What were you watching? Where were you watching this?
I think I was just watching it from my office in Nottingham, but it was such an incredible final. So yeah, tied after 50 overs, tied after the super over as well, and then just won on a technicality really on the tiebreak call because England had scored more boundaries. This is Cricket World Cup final 2019, England beating New Zealand. And yeah, it was the closest game of cricket in history. Such a tense watch and a great spectacle for the sport.
What did you do when the result was declared? It wasn't an easy result to declare in a way because, as you say, it was quite complicated as to how it was going to be decided. I think there was still a question mark in some people's minds as to have they actually won it. But what did you do when it appeared that the victory was there for England?
I'm not actually one to celebrate emphatically or anything. I just really enjoy watching the match happen as it goes along, and that's what I find most exhilarating about watching a close encounter, not necessarily the celebration after.
Did you, from your knowledge of statistics and numbers and things like that, have a prediction for how the game would turn out? And particularly, did that change as the overs started to dwindle? Were you there doing calculations in your head at each time a ball was bowled?
What I actually do when I watch sports is I always look at the Betfair betting line because that's where all the money in sports betting is going on that match. That gives the most accurate representation of who's actually winning or losing the situation and how much by. So I don't really do the calculations in my head, but I watch the betting lines and I enjoy that, sort of knowing how likely each team is to win at different points.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because a set of betting odds is not necessarily scientifically proven, is it? It is the herd mind of those who are choosing to bet.
Yes, that's true. But on the other hand, there are guys out there who are professional sports bettors, and they're waiting for the markets to go out of line. And as soon as it's out of line, they're going to pounce to put their money on and to correct the line. So I think it's really quite an accurate representation of the true likelihood of each team winning.
I'm trying to think. I met somebody who's involved in this world, and they've got computer software that is able to analyse sporting bets around the world, and it looks for those anomalies that you've just mentioned, and if it spots something that's a little awry in one way or another, then suddenly a massive bet is laid, and they do quite well out of it. Do you know the sort of thing I'm talking about?
Yeah, so I know a lot of sports bettors, they use this arbitrage technique that you're talking about, where if the line is different in one bookmaker to another, they'll place conflicting bets on betting on one side to win on another, the same side to lose on another, and try and profit the difference if the lines are enough apart to guarantee a small profit. Yeah. And if you continue to look for these opportunities, you could probably do quite well.
And a computer can do all the work for you, I think. That's the point. And this takes us back into the world of financial derivatives trading that you were involved in for a while. But that's quite sort of computer-led, isn't it? That they're sort of doing the hard work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was trading, I think for each trader, there's 2 members of IT support who are like helping me, make sure my systems are like as efficient as possible.
Yeah. It's a bit like here at the BBC, actually. We've always got 2 members of technical assistance behind me. That's not so much to make money, it's just that I'm incompetent. But anyway, the nail-biting 2019 Cricket World Cup final, tied after 50 overs, went down to the last ball. And even when that last ball was bowled, it was still not entirely clear. But finally, it was England's victory. So what about cricket generally? Is it a sport you like?
I grew up watching a lot of cricket because my dad had a huge interest in cricket. So I would watch like so many international matches, like all the one-day internationals. I watched a lot of the IPL as well.
Did you get to Trent Bridge much?
I've been there a few times, but maybe like 3 or 4 times.
Right. So more watching on television to enjoy the game.
Yeah, I'd say so. But in recent years, I've not watched as much, but it was a huge part of my childhood.
We're going to get into the world of football next with you, Ankush. So hang on there, because the cricket has been done. We've got football to come, and then a really interesting story of more modern sports that Ankush Khandelwal knows a lot about. So nobody knows it. This afternoon, still going through some sporting thoughts with Ankush Khandelwal, and the cricket that we've talked about takes us into the world of football now, and the Champions League final in 2005. Again, I ask, where were you, and what do you remember of this particular game?
Wow, yeah, this was quite a long time ago. I think I was just watching that at home with my family. It's what I would say. I can't remember exactly where I was. But yeah, it was such an amazing final. What a comeback by Liverpool. I think everyone had written Liverpool off. And what I really like about the situation is it's such a great story of never giving up and always believing you can win, anything's possible. And that's the kind of mentality I really enjoy. Fighting until the end. And
so I'm trying to remember, were they 3 goals behind with not long to play, and they managed to get it to a draw by the end? Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's right. So they were 3-0 down at half-time, and then I think pretty early in the second half, they managed to score 3 goals back, maybe in the first 20 minutes. And then it was really tense. I don't think any more goals were scored in normal time or in extra time. And then finally in penalties, I think they won with Dudek being the hero.
Do you have a favourite team in the world of football? So, do you support anybody particular?
I support Liverpool, but I wouldn't say I'm like a very passionate supporter. I know football is like embedded like deeply in some people's cultures. So for me, I just enjoy watching, and Liverpool's the team I follow.
How did Liverpool become that team then? Because you're not from Liverpool.
No, I was born in India, but it's because I think when I was 7 or 8 years old, I watched the Football World Cup in 1998, and Michael Owen was like this teenage kid, and he scored this incredible goal. And I think I just thought admired him at that age. So he played for Liverpool at the time, so I think I for Liverpool for that reason.
Did you ever think you would be in a position to go and see one of their live games coming to the UK? Just to tell us a little bit about how that bit of your life panned out, coming from India to the UK.
Oh, okay. I moved to England when I was 3 years old, so I've spent most of my life growing up in England.
You didn't have a lot of say in the decision then?
No, not at all.
Wow. Let's get on to this third one, because this is an area where your world really does sort of open up, I think, because as you've explained, the world that you inhabit as a sports player is almost a virtual world, playing online poker largely and other games virtually. And this is a computer winning something, isn't it? You're raising the flag for the solid state performer here. Tell us why.
Yeah, so I will say technically I wouldn't consider it as a sporting moment necessarily, but it makes my list because of how special the achievement was. And that was AlphaGo's victory against Lisa Doll in the Man vs. Machine Google DeepMind Challenge match in 2016. So why it was so special is because I never thought a computer would be able to be a top human player at Go in my lifetime, because a computer's strength is in its raw calculation power. So in a game like chess, I can really understand why computers completely obliterate the top human players, because chess is a lot about tactics and calculation. But Go requires a lot more human elements like strategic thinking, creativity, intuition. These are qualities that computers aren't traditionally that good at because they're not wired that way. But with machine learning techniques such as self-play, AlphaGo played against itself millions of times and taught itself how to play this incredibly strong strategy, and it won the match 4-1 against one of the best players in the world, Lisa Doll, who's like a South Korean world champion. And yeah, if you're interested in this kind of thing, I highly recommend watching the AlphaGo documentary if you've not seen it already.
So AlphaGo is the game, as you say. It's a strategic and almost like humanized game that a computer has now become champion at, certainly beating Lee Sedol, the guy who was reckoned to be the best in the world. And it shows that computers are capable of, in some sense, assuming some of the things that we believe to be human characteristics that could never be learnt by a machine. Does that scare you? I mean, how does that make you feel in terms of society moving forward? Not just in games, but in general, the world, because you're a youngish man, you've got decades of this to come. Are you happy about this?
I mean, you could say it's scary, but I would rather think of it optimistically of how many opportunities there will be in the future because of this. Like, we can use machine learning to our assistance to help us solve these very difficult problems in the world.
So you see nothing but positives in the sort of development of artificial intelligence and machine learning. I'm not suggesting there isn't anything positive. I'm just curious to know what your take is.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a huge positive.
Mm. I'm sure this has been asked a million times. What would happen if you put two Google DeepMinds together to play AlphaGo? Would eventually, after a load of games, would it be 50-50?
Yeah, I think if two computers played Go against each other, it would probably be 50-50. But I mean, that's what AlphaGo does. The machine, it plays against itself. So in a sense, that's how it's learned, by playing against itself.
On my phone, I can play some games like Scrabble and Monopoly, and I can't beat my phone in those games. It's really annoying. I feel as though the thing I've got in my hand, the thing that I decide whether it's charged up or not, the thing that I decide whether it's switched on or not, just happily sits there and goes, well, if you want to play, I'm going to beat you. Maybe I need to go away and play against myself on an actual board game for a bit to brush up my strategy before I come back to the online computerized world. Fascinated to talk with you, Ankush. Thank you very much for being there. How's lockdown affecting you? Do you mind me asking that? Has it changed your life much? And potential restrictions going forward? I know we're out of lockdown now, but who knows what's going to happen going forward? How have the last few months been for you?
Well, I've actually just moved from London back to Nottingham. And yeah, lockdown has not been affecting my life too much, I'd say. I mean, just the same way it's affected other people, but to me, lesser extent, because my profession's online. A lot of my hobbies I can do from home as well. So I can't really complain about it.
You're probably finding, I'm wondering if the case is true, that more and more people are discovering online gaming, which means that there's easier and easy meat for people like you as the naive folks stumble blinking into an online poker den, and you're like, yes, let's have a game.
I've not actually found that in the games that I play necessarily, but I know in terms of more the board games and just the casual games people play online, gaming has really boomed online, so I'm very happy to see people more interested in board games.
Good luck, and fascinating to chat with you today on BBC Radio Nottingham. The sporting moments, a bit of cricket, a bit of football, and then a computer beating a human in a game of strategy. Three sporting highlights Ankush Khandelwal wanted to share with you today on BBC Radio Nottingham. He himself, a poker player, online poker player, professional, and also winning the annual Mind Sports Olympiad, the mental sports festival. was held recently. So, interesting stuff. The world of sport this afternoon is a bit different because of